I need to know everything, who and the what and the where, I need everything. Trust me, I hear what you're saying, but act like it's new what you're telling me. I'm curious, George, I hop in the Porsche, it's 5 and a horse, I'm ready for war, I'm coming for throats, to turn to a ghost, I need to know everything. Now you be surprised at the info you get is by letting them talk, so I'm letting them talk. Gotta keep quiet, maneuver in silence, then let them in, talk up their body, another one body, that's just how it go. I got some secrets, I'm shaking the game so they stay on their toes. Stay in your lane, I to stay on the go. I can play with the pros and act like a rookie, so they overlook me, then I double up again, none of their knows. None of them cold, they just got lucky but never adapted, so I'm to the one if it's coming to blows. My enemies cutting it close, I let them think that they got me, but what do you know? I had them beat before we ever.
Hey, how's it going?
Wonderful. How are you?
I've been fantastic. We're excited to have you on tonight to participate in our Startup on the Blocks program.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure. Thanks for having
All
me.
right. Okay, that's great. That's great. So I want to get started just talking a little bit about Startup on the Blocks and announce our pitch competition we have coming up summer 2022 pitch competition. So, yeah, we're really excited. This is our fourth pitch competition, and thanks to Innisfree Hotels who's sponsoring this for us, we're going to recruit some more founders into the startup ecosystem. That's a really good good thing, I believe. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's phenomenal.
Yes, yes. Well, and one of the reasons why we do this, I remember when I was um, there was a startup here in Pensacola pitch competition, and they had $200,000 worth of prizes, and that got me thinking. Well, maybe I better come up with some scalable idea. So that's how I got started in this in this world and start learning about all these things that are out there to help you on your journey as a founder.
Yeah, it's so important. I mean, it's so key. There's so many resources out there, but sometimes not having the information and can keep you behind. So it's always
Yeah,
good. Yeah.
yeah. One of the pitch competitions I participated in was sponsored by Cox. It was like a $5,000 pitch competition, but you got like $20,000 worth of in-kind services. And so, and in that pitch competition, it was for getting started. A founder getting started, and so you only had to write like 250 words describing your business idea, and
Oh,
so
wow.
and so uh, I actually won that pitch competition. But so with our Startup on the Blocks pitch competition, I decided to do the same thing: describe your business idea in 250 words. And
Nice.
yeah, and so our first three pitch competitions we did that, and we're doing that with this pitch competition. But what we noticed was that people didn't know how to describe their business idea.
Mm.
And so this time what we're doing, we're adding the some lean stack, lean startup training, and some free training that teach you some stuff about being a founder, but it also teaches you how to pitch your business idea clearly and concisely.
Absolutely. That's so key. Having that quick elevator pitch, be able to
Yeah,
concisely talk about your business, the value propositions. Yeah, so key.
yes, yeah. So it's a really a great opportunity. So those folks out there in Northwest Florida, if you're an African American founder or a Hispanic founder, this pitch competition is for you. We welcome everybody to apply, but only the people that can compete to win are the African American founders and Hispanic founders. But what we do with the people that don't fit that mold or category, we do offer them, other services that they can actually take advantage of as well. So it's just a good way to get connected to the startup ecosystem. And for those existing startups out there that are already up and running or or been working on their idea for a while, we have a category for them as well. So, so we got some nice cash prizes plus some other free stuff. So if you go to that link, pitch.kukuainstitute.org, it has all the guidelines and information there to enter and learn get get ready to for the pitch competition. All righty. So the application will be open until June 6th, and then we'll hold the pitch competition on June 23rd. So um, on your thing, you said you were also were kind of like an investor and entrepreneur. So would you be actually interested in helping us judge the pitch competition?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, fantastic. So
Yes. Yeah.
we'll make sure we get you involved, and we'll host that on this Hopin platform as well.
Okay. Sounds
All right,
good.
fantastic. Okay, so I'll break up things a little bit. I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself since you're our guest tonight.
All right, awesome. Thank you once again, Lloyd. Thanks for inviting me to start up on the blocks. Everyone, my name is Asafu Thomas. I'm a founder of Naya Labs. And just a little bit of background on me. I've been building and investing in companies for really the last 12 years. Not all of those years have been successful, but I have had some nice wins. Actually, about 5 years ago, I started focusing heavily in SaaS and IoT products. And I invested in this early stage company out in Texas that was these two founders developing a technology to aggregate data and help insurance agents identify the best prospects for their leads. So we were able to, launch. I was able to invest in that company. We were able to launch it and eventually license it to a major insurance carrier.
Fantastic.
But that process really got me hooked and created a passion for me in software. And so after that venture, I went off and started a software development company called Naya Labs. And so at the beginning of my company, we were really just developing products for founders. And I noticed two things that forced us to change our business model. One was that founders we were starting to work with, they would run out of capital when we would start building products. So, it'd be hard to start building a product for someone and then, can't continue because they've run out of capital. So that was one. The second thing was we come across founders who would spend thousands, hundreds of thousands on a product without having a very clear go-to-market strategy or really thought through the vision of the product. And so what we started doing a couple years ago at Naya is building out a more end-to-end solution where on the front end we advise and help the organization or the founder really develop their concept, think about their go-to-market strategies, the value propositions, think about how their solution is going to be different from the thousands of competitors might be in their space. Once we've done that successfully, we have a network of angel investors, and so we help that founder secure the capital that they need in that pre-seed stage to go on and build the product. And once they've secured capital, then we have a team and a network of engineers, designers, and technologists, and then we pool those resources together to really help founders really build great functional products. And that's what we've been doing for the last couple of years. Exciting stuff. It's
Yes.
never a dull. It's never a dull moment for me in the work I do. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It seems like you learned a lot from your journey, and you applied it to support founders. So we want to kind of found out, you know, before you got into all this startup stuff. So so what? How did your career get started? What did you end up deciding to do for a career, and how did that?
Yeah, so out of undergrad, I really had no clue what I wanted to do, right? Coming out of
Mhm.
undergrad. So I know I started my career in financial planning, financial advising.
Okay.
So, all commission right out of college. And I'm an introvert naturally,
Okay.
but getting into that career for I did it for 2.5, 3 years. It really helped me break out of my shell, force you to hustle, learn how
Hmm.
to get out there and make things happen. And so I'm really grateful for that time and that experience. But when I transitioned out of that career, I started, just trying to find my way. I worked in the digital marketing space for a while. Eventually ran a division of a of a marketing agency that was focused on insurance and finance marketing. And so it was one day, working at that firm. My boss at the time comes to me and it's like, listen, we're making cuts, and this new division that you're running, we can no longer fund it anymore. And so for me, it was really a blessing, because I remember sitting in that meeting and I was like, all right, this is my opportunity. This is my chance now. You're always talking about going out and starting your thing. This is the opportunity. So what we did in that meeting, instead of taking a severance, I negotiated an investment in
Okay.
in the company that I was going to go ahead and start. I said, listen, instead of this severance package you're paying me, why don't you let me take a couple of the clients that I've brought into this agency. Let me take them on, and I'm going to start my own thing. And they went for it, and I never looked back. And since then, I've been, that was my first company, but since then, it's since been, I exited that company, and we went on to start Naya Labs several
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah. So like, like I've heard of people, you know, taking a buyout or getting a severance, but I never heard of anybody, um, um, you know, not taking it, but instead asking for an investment in starting a company.
Yeah, that was a bet on myself. I was like, okay, I knew the clients I had just brought on, while they weren't huge in the standpoint of, for like, they were maybe they were fish in a like big fish in a ocean, right? But
Yeah.
in my pond, they were going to be huge, right? So
Yeah.
and I knew I could maintain those relationships, and they'd be good foundation for me to build on top of. Because when you're going out starting your a business with no floor, it can be scary. So having
Mhm.
that consistent cash flow in the early stages was really helpful to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So we had a guest on last week on Levy King, and he got started in his business because he had got sick, and the company he was working for um, saw the impact. He saw the impact that the business that he was had been bringing to the company. And now that he was sick, the company wasn't making that kind of money, and it
Oh
helped
wow.
him understand the value of his position in that business, and so he that's what he leveraged to understand he could potentially be successful. But I think so. To me, a founder has to know um, that they do bring something to the table, and when they're trying to get started on their endeavor. But I think you provides another playbook for somebody that's about to get laid off, and instead of getting the severance, go for an investment in something that you can actually do, because you already got a couple of clients, and you've been doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's really fantastic. So what did you study in college? Yeah.
Yeah, so I was a economics. So I went into college thinking I was gonna do biology, because
Okay.
my mother was putting in my you gotta go study medicine. That's what you're gonna do, be a doctor. And so I did really like biology, but coming in there, I didn't love it. It wasn't my passion. I really didn't know what I wanted to do in undergrad. So I took economics just to understand the world better, and how commerce, works, how things flow just in the world. And then by my junior year, I took a second major in finance,
Okay.
because I got really fascinated by the stock market. And I started doing some trading here and there, losing money mostly. But got fascinated by the markets, and so I minored in finance, and that's where I graduated in economics and finance majors.
Yeah, so like I think that economics background is probably key to a lot of the things you're doing, and also the finance. I got lucky because when I worked for the government, we invested a lot of money in artificial intelligence, and that was
Hmm.
one of my passions. But I always thought about it from an engineering and technical standpoint. But had you read the book or heard about the book Prediction Machines?
No, I haven't.
Yeah. So this economics professor uh, talking about artificial intelligence.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
so,
that's
yeah. So I'll just briefly. And so, and so from an economic standpoint, the reason why artificial intelligence is so popular is it's a cheaper way to do predictions. You've been spending
ah,
money to create and do these things to predict stuff, but now with this artificial intelligence, you can actually do it cheaper.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
It's
so
changing the game. Absolutely.
yeah, but I think these different backgrounds give you different perspective on things, and every founder comes from a unique background, and so that's kind of what brings to the table. So where did you grow up as a child?
Sure. So I was actually born in Liberia, West
Okay,
Africa.
okay.
And when I was born, there was a civil war in the country. So my family we left. I was a baby. We left at a very
Mhm.
young age. Actually, my mother had to leave first, and I
Okay.
stayed behind with some family. And I came to the States when I was 3. We
Wow.
grew up, yeah, we grew up in first Virginia, in
Okay.
the Richmond, Virginia area, then on the East Coast, then moved up to New Jersey, and by high school I was in Massachusetts, and
Hmm.
that's where I went to school in Massachusetts. Then after that, started moving around and
Okay.
touring the world from there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, yeah. So is there anything in your childhood that you thought those skills or things you did thought you took into being a founder or anything?
That's an awesome question. I never I've never thought about it, but I mean, as a child, I'm an introvert, so
Okay.
I was a quiet, yeah, I was a quiet kid. Um, but I was very curious about the world, how things work. Um, and I had empathy, always. I would meet people and really want to understand them, understand the things that made them happy, what made them move. So I think those skill sets is what I take in, and I've always valued freedom, the ability to move and think freely and create. I've always like really been really into things like that, and I think so. Entrepreneurship, running your own business, kind of obviously allows you to do that every day, constantly
Yeah, yeah,
rebuild and create yourself.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I think that's another kind of like playbook point, being curious, because you can see stuff out there, but you may not. If you dig a little deeper about it, you may learn something that you didn't really understand or know, and then you can actually, you know, take advantage of that what you learned and to move your startup forward. That's one of the keys to success is being curious. how did
Right.
how did he do that? How did she do that?
Yeah, they were just thinking about it, learning about it. Right.
Yeah, 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 and I think as somebody thinking about becoming getting into this startup stuff, you just have to be curious about it and just see what is all these opportunities out there. Because like we've been doing these events for a year and a half now, and trying to bring more people into the ecosystem and
Hmm.
and just try to take advantage of this stuff. And it's it's the journey for a founder is challenging. And we're talking to one of our founders today on Facebook, and and basically it's a lot of work, but you have to figure out a way to automate what you're doing and make it a little, keep making it a little easier.
You're right. And you use the key word automation. I mean, what we're doing as founders is really tough. Some people might say no, don't have all the screws there. Who would choose who would choose the life of a founder, especially a startup founder? But if you're passionate about it, that's what you're going to do, and that passion typically drives people. But you're right, it's extremely difficult.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So like, so you, you got that momentum going, when you were getting laid off, and so it appears that everything just kept building and building upon
Oh
itself.
no, that's the abridged version. No, that's the short
Yeah.
version. It wasn't smooth sailing after that. I
Okay.
mean, gosh, so I think, yes, starting out, there was that cushion, right?
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
you always hit a point where you have to start to grow
Hmm.
from where you are, because I believe if you're not growing, you're
Yes.
going to be contracting. You're going to be losing business. So you got to constantly be growing, and that involves things like starting to hire folks,
Yeah.
starting to really pay close attention to your books, managing your books, and
Yeah.
you know I had to move from being a solo entrepreneur to now being a business owner
Okay.
that's had employees, and responsible for people, responsible for salaries, responsible for bringing in business. So it creates a new set of challenges
Yes.
that when you know, I think it's a constant journey. I'm still learning every day new sets of challenges when a number of things happen within, the team and, within the company that you always have to try to kind of grow out of. So
Yes. Yes.
yeah, it certainly wasn't smooth sailing
Okay.
the whole way, but we just
It's
figured
a
a
journey.
way. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
It's a journey. And so I was trying to. So where you are now, it appears you must have. Why did you decide to create a company to help startup founders or to invest in start? I try to create this little mini ecosystem to support founders.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I kept coming back to this, just loving the startup journey, first of all. And early on in my journey, I always looked for resources, opportunities to talk to people that have done it before. And there were few people that were helpful to me, and I always felt the need to want to be part of that ecosystem and find a way to give back. And I think it goes back also to that empathy. Like, one of the things we do, as I mentioned, at Nine
Hmm.
Lives, we help founders raise capital. And
Okay.
really, for me, I get joy out of helping an entrepreneur raise 150 200K to go on and really like build their product. It's game changing, and
Yeah.
for me, that feeling, I know it sounds cliche to say, but it's really, that feeling is even much better than money, than the money you make, because it's like you're helping to help people's like vision or their
Yes.
dreams come true. And so I really love that.
Yes. So on your journey, um, getting to this point, how did you leverage the ecosystem? Or what kind of resources did you get connected to that made the difference for you?
Yeah, so early on, I was kind of siloed, so
Okay.
the first companies kind of silo, head down, and kind of just building a sustainable business. And was fortunate enough to build a high margin, high revenue business. But then you feel isolated. You start to feel like you're out there on your own. So I started uh, getting part of different startup meetup groups, things
Okay.
like that, meeting other entrepreneurs that were that were doing things. I started to join organizations. At this time, I was living in the DC area,
Okay.
so I started joining various networking organizations where meeting other professionals and other entrepreneurs, and then I became part of this for early stage investors, this network of angel investors, but not kind of changing the way the thought that we had back then of what an angel investor looked like, being a young professional but still wanting to invest in other young entrepreneurs. So it's called Next Gen Ventures, which is
Okay.
still it's a VC front still out there in the DC area. Does amazing stuff. But just being part of a lot of these types of networks
Hmm.
was extremely valuable just in meeting people, learning about opportunity. I also um, got to a point where I eventually started running um, startup groups or startup
Okay.
meetup groups for one organization called Entra, which was just a space where we invited entrepreneurs from across the city to just come in and kind of talk about challenges, hear from maybe someone or a startup founder that has had a little bit of success but still on their journey.
Yes.
That was a really good platform as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the so did so what I'm seeing and what I saw with what we've been doing here with Startup on the Blocks, we had a bunch of founders out there, and they had ideas about a product that could potentially build, but they didn't have actually the skill set or the ability to pitch their idea where they could actually get a co-founder to help them build it, and or they just didn't have the funding to actually build it, and so that's like a common problem that I saw. And so I started to kind of look for strategies for that, and early on the strategy was partnering with companies like yours to actually help the founders actually build, you know,
Right.
yeah. And so, is did you come to a similar conclusion based on what you saw out there working with the founders?
Yeah, I never thought I'd be in software, like developing software.
Hmm.
I didn't, we just went through my background. I didn't have a technical
Right.
background, but it was through my experiences as a founder. The ways I scaled in my business always involved creating new technologies.
Yes.
And so when I had, some success and I was thinking about, okay, what's the best way to add value to this ecosystem?
Hmm.
It was kind of a natural transition to think about helping founders develop software and do it efficiently, cost effectively, and really helping them think about the importance of that. So yeah, that's kind of what led me down that path. But then in growing out our solution into what we do now, which is more end to end, that was just me seeing where people were struggling.
Yes.
When you see that founders, these entrepreneurs have great ideas, they start a project but can't finish the build because of capital. It really hurts. You feel their pain. And so I wanted to find a solution for that, and tapped that's what led to us starting to
Yeah.
help them raise capital.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the software development firms out there that founders reach out to, or individuals that founders reach out to, um, you know, don't really know how to work with the founder, or the founder don't know how to work with them, and they end up getting an inferior product, or not getting a product at all. And then they go to another. If they get some more money, they go to another software development
Yeah.
company. Then it
Yeah.
typically takes about that third one to actually find somebody to actually build the thing the way it needs to be built.
No, you're absolutely right. But sometimes, I've had, lots of back and forth with founders when you're trying to explain the concept of an MVP.
Hmm.
Sometimes when you don't you have a concept, but it needs to be proven, right?
Yeah.
And before you start spending a lot of real money
Hmm.
to build something beautiful, think about what are the assumptions that you're making and assumptions that need to be proven. And so a lot of times, I try to take entrepreneurs, not just take their money and develop something. It's about really going through a process because I want them to be successful. And that process sometimes it's not doesn't have to be pretty right away. It's about putting something out there so you can try to prove the assumptions you're making. You might even, determine that, wow, this opportunity really wasn't that big. I mean, and that's something I wish someone would have told me. I lost a lot of money on ventures,
Yeah.
that I personally tried to do or invested in others. And you find that there's a way to do things, testing out the market before you kind of go all in.
Yeah.
Same thing with software. But to your point, you're right. Not knowing how to work with founders and having that empathy to understand what they're trying to do. They're not just trying to build a product, they're really trying to build a business. This is their dream, this is their vision. So seeing it, more robustly is important.
Yeah. That's exactly right. So how did you go about building this team of the developers and getting the people with the right expertise to actually can build and deploy software, to the cloud?
Yeah, no, that was actually an experience as well, because it
Okay.
it started with my first as I mentioned, in my own companies. I started, hiring technologists and building products that we took to market. And I noticed, I looked around, I was hiring, one, two, I looked around, I had about 10 engineers, and they were all over the globe. I got really good at, identifying, that those specific talents, back and front end, UX, UI designers, and even specialists, for, product development. And I got really good at the product development process and the management. And so I just started to scale that. I started to reach into developer networks across the globe.
Okay.
One of the we have a lot of engineers at Naya. So we started out with the concept of hiring engineers on the African continent to build
Okay.
products here. But we've since expanded, outside of Africa. But a lot of our engineers, I'd say about 80% of our engineers are in Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Morocco, across the globe, creating a cost effective means for founders here to build products while also creating a lot of big opportunities for those engineers. And so just through those original networks, just started to expand outward. And as you continue to do it more and more, you just build the right networks, and we've been able to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your approach to investing in startups. Uh, how do you look? What do you look for? And I'm hoping that based on your background and the founders out in the audience that have ideas and in order to scale those ideas, you're going to have to use technology to kind of do that. And to me, it doesn't matter what your product or service is. If you want to get it out to a lot of people, there's definitely going to be some technology involved.
Yeah, yeah. So I started out trying investing in every different space, just trying out different things, everything from real estate to, restaurant businesses, different types of businesses. I found that what I know, and especially with the day-to-day, my world is today, software businesses or technologies businesses is what I like to see, but specifically SaaS products, which is software in the cloud, or IoT products. I tend to understand that, and I think you should invest in areas you understand. But beyond it being a software product, I'm industry agnostic and I'm open to learning about industries. I really love sitting with founders who have, a unique perspective about the industry that they're building a product in. I like to see how people are tackling the issues. Like they may have been in a space, whatever industry it might be, but they've developed a particular way of looking at the issues in that space and maybe come up with solutions that a lot of people aren't privy to. And so they've developed, a technology to solve that problem. I like, founders who have that type of background. Um, we are in the pre-seed stage as well.
Okay.
I'm not adverse to talking with founders who just have a concept or an
Okay.
idea for what they're doing, because I think helping them, that's key to what we do in that early stage, is helping you really formulate that idea, think about the strategy approach, your business model, the business model that's going to be effective, and then making those right decisions before you really start to scale. And with pre-seed, if you find the right opportunities, you can get in really early before the valuations get crazy,
Yeah.
and before you're able to really build a connection with the founders that you're backing.
So how how do you find these founders? What's your connecting point to these founders?
Yeah, these days, I do have some interns and a little bit of a team that, is out there scouting for opportunities, but I'm out there. I love to network. I'll go to a lot of startup conferences. Um, right now, I'm in Toronto,
Okay.
and
Is
next month.
collision going on up
I
there
was
now?
just gonna, yeah, Collision will be, but that's next month. It's
Oh, it's next
in
month.
June, yeah, late June. But I'll be here for Collision next month, which is a big event, South by Southwest. But also just opportunities like this, like
Yeah.
this opportunity. It'll just be through networks,
Mhm.
or just the work of me and my team getting out there and seeing what opportunities exist.
Yeah. So like we definitely would like to be a part of that network, and so what our founders keep on their journey, and our job is to connect them with resources to keep growing and moving forward.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope there are some questions out in the audience uh, for Asafu, and so we can kind of, and even if you're, I guess you're open to any questions, whether it's about investing or about software, or because we got some people in the audience that uh, are in different like in um, food technology, personal care, technology, stuff like that. And so, uh, yeah, so just feel free to ask the question, because that's what we're here to help.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, to kind of get the ball rolling. Uh, I'll go ahead and let's see here. Um, yes. Um, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Virginia is sharing your LinkedIn stuff for getting uh, connected there. So
Sorry, one second.
okay. Let's see. Yeah. So yeah, definitely out there. Get your yeah. Yeah. We're actually here to help, and like I said, with startup on the blocks, we the main thing is that there are some resources out there, and so like you may not be at an investment stage yet, but you need to kind of know what to expect when you get there. So yeah, we want to make sure that you be curious, and it could be a personal question. You if you want to get to know us out a little bit better, or like yeah. So just don't be shy about asking asking questions. So like I'll keep the ball rolling here with some with some questions. Uh, so so and you said you're in Toronto now. So is there any conference, anything going on up there now?
No, so my wife is well, she's from Toronto, and so
Okay.
we're married, and we're expecting a baby any day now, and so
Yes.
she's like, I want to have my baby in Canada. And
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
we're any day now for that, and but we're usually in the DC area, typically. But yeah, that's why I'm here.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. Tell the people in the audience about Collision.
It's a, so this year would be my first time
Okay.
attending, but yeah, it's a similar conference to South by Southwest. It's a great opportunity to connect with, global founders or local founders, and just to see what people are doing out here in that ecosystem. You'll have speaking engagements, networking sessions. There's an exhibit floor, things like that.
Yeah. 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 So I would imagine Toronto is a pretty big city, but they for they were in New Orleans for 3 years, and so I got the chance to go twice, I believe, and so you kind of look at it like about if you had an event and there's like 4,000 other startups there, that's the type of event Collision is.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
huge.
it's like unbelievable,
Yeah,
and,
it's huge.
and who's who and everything, like yeah, yeah, it's just amazing um, the connections you can make, and to kind of see everybody. That's all. It's all about founders
Right.
and different, whether it's educational technology or entertainment technology or robotics or marketing technology. It's literally unbelievable. But it's the biggest startup showcase thing I ever attended.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, it's unbelievable. And I would imagine Toronto is probably, like in New Orleans there were, like 4,500 founders, there, so I would imagine in Toronto I can it's probably way more than that in a city like Toronto.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so yeah, that's yeah, I think it's a lot of bang for the buck. So they have like alpha stage companies that are early on idea, then they have the beta stage companies, and then they have companies that are doing so. Like if you could imagine, the first day, they may have the alpha stage companies out there vending. Then the second day, another group of startups, and yeah, it's literally it's huge. And you could even get around to all the booths of founders, and yeah, it's truly an amazing event.
I'll have to ping you on the side just to get myself prepared. You seem to have a lot of insight. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, man. I got a chance to I got invited to like a private capital event, dinner where eating dinner with the guy who runs Zoom and
Oh
all
wow.
these other. Well, yeah, it was like, yeah, and I was giving a guy a demo in one of the rooms outside, and he said, well, another guy was in the room. He said, yeah, that's the guy that's the president of Inc. magazine, So, yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, yeah,
Great stuff to be doing. Yeah.
yeah, and for founders too is that if you actually they link you up with investors, and so you have these 15-minute investor meetings, and yeah, so and they also have you have media companies there doing interviews, you know, for with the founders and stuff. Yeah, it literally blows your mind.
Awesome. Wow.
Yeah, and I think those companies, that company that runs that, they're out of Europe somewhere, and but they do other conferences, in Europe, and I've heard they have as many as 100,000 attendees to these type of conferences over in Europe.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's actually a playbook for founders. Um, like all these different founders, like even like the ones we have down here, they have these showcase events and for founders, and then they have all these celebrities, all these famous people come down there and participate, and you can you can if that's you can really get connected. I think that's the best way to say it. So like so what was your experience at South by Southwest like?
It's crazy.
Okay.
I went, so I haven't been recently. The time I went was definitely in the early stages, but it was fun. I went to some of the music events, but then also some of the speaking engagements for folks that I was interested in. But it's that's another very big event.
Yeah. I'm surprised I actually never made the effort to go to South by Southwest. So Sabina, she was at the event I was at today, so we're glad to see her on here. And um, um, so she's talking about funders looking for tech related companies, and she has a she actually sells products from Africa, but she's trying to package them and create new products and stuff like that, and so um, but ultimately once she we're going to help her get those the connect to the resources she needs, but in order her to get her product out there to a lot of people, it's still going to require that tech thing. And so the deal is she has these products, but she has to create a business model, a revenue model that a funder is going to be interested in. So, like for example, even though she doesn't have all the things she needs yet, she has to pitch her idea and the technology she's going to use to actually
Yeah.
move forward. So like, well, she might use technology to optimize the her product or service. And so it's just a way you actually have to look at what the funders are actually looking for.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
yeah, absolutely. And it sounds like she has some frustrations with the fact that, yeah, some funders are only look. There are definitely folks that are outside of the tech world investing in, other,
yeah. So,
lifestyle.
there is a startup here in Pensacola, and they sell um, snacks from countries all over the world,
Mhm.
but they do it as a subscription. So that's not tech. It doesn't sound like technology, but everything about that company is technology because they all that logistic, trail to pull all these products together and tracking all that these products get into where you can actually put them in a group and then get them off to a to the customer. And so to understand that as a technology related business, the founder of that company couldn't find the technical expertise for what they needed to do all this logistics and stuff. So they moved the headquarters of the company to Colorado.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying? But
Yeah,
their product is, snacks from all these different countries. And
right.
they do a subscription. You get a subscription. But so, you don't think of that as a technology company, but in order to make their business work, it's a technology company.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and so that's kind of what I want people to understand. If you anything that's big, it's got some technology behind it somewhere, but you just have to know how to communicate how you're using that technology to get that recurring income
Right,
for your product or service.
right.
So I hope that kind of helps a little bit, Sabina. But we're going to make sure you know how to communicate to get these funders interested in what you're doing. Yep. So
I
let's
see.
see.
Thank you.
Okay. Uh, do you match entrepreneurs with venture funding? What is your capacity for funding rounds A, B, and
Yeah,
C?
good
But I think you said you were pre-seed though, right?
Yeah, we're focused on pre-seed, and we don't do a lot of VC connections. It's really individual investors that, and their checks sizes are between 10 to 50,000. So typically, there's a group of investors that are getting in on a deal, and it's usually pre-seed investment.
Yeah. So I know in your case, but have you noticed they're trying to get um, people like you or me into the VC space, but establishing funds, and because I think a lot of the corporate America that's putting this money out there for Black and Brown founders, they're looking for places to put it, and they're literally putting it in these black VC firms to support you got some of it at
Yeah,
least.
I have some friends that are starting funds, and the process of raising is tough. But I have folks that are doing it, and I am seeing more people that look like us as the VCs, and that's great to see as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so, like most people, when they think about being a VC, they think the person that starts the fund is really wealthy or something. They don't realize that they're getting the wealthy people to put money into the fund, and they're just managing the fund.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're glad to have Octavia on. This is so we or she's just now getting connected with us, and so let's see what she's asking here.
Okay.
When it comes, I guess when it comes to startups, you invest in. I guess she's kind of want to get a better clarification of that, and so she's kind of new to this stuff. And yes,
Yeah, so we're typically, thanks for the question, Octavia. We're looking at in the pre-seed stage, so individuals that are at your stage here thinking about what their opportunities might be, but it's typically where there's a technology play, at least from my focus and my perspective, where there's some sort of technology, software technology that can be built and scaled from there. But it's looking at, I spend a lot of time looking at the product and how that founder is thinking about the market, solving the problem in that market. Are they trying to just create a product and go into a very crowded, competitive space without being creative, or are they developing some blue oceans, or are they looking at creating a space or lane on their own where there's limited competition? So there's a couple things around that we look at.
yeah, great, great. So like in Octavia's case, um, let's see, Santia. So she's got some organic products that she's um, um, looking to figure out how to scale out her manufacturing. Um, uh, Torrance and his wife, they're out there. They have some products that they're uh, getting mixed and made and stuff. And we had Monica White on. She was one of the winners of last pitch competition. She has some products that she's actually getting manufactured, and so uh, Monica, she leveraged that Target program. So if you got a product that's ever going to be in a retail store, Target, Walmart, all these major companies have programs to help you get started in what you're
Yeah.
doing. But go ahead.
Yeah, just when it comes to consumer gross product, those types of products, I actually have a good friend of mine that has a firm focused on CPGs, on
Okay.
really helping to scale those type of product companies. So, if people are interested in, founders or funders specifically in those types of consumer based products like organic products like Octavia is doing, or other skincare, food products, things of that nature. There's there's a good connection I have there.
Okay, so yeah, we'll work with you that because like I think we probably got maybe 4 or 5 founders that are in that space. So what I'll also do if that gentleman wants to come on, a person wants to come on and start up on the blocks, we can, yeah, we would appreciate that connection and so we. But the bottom line is that's what this whole ecosystem is about, connecting people to the people that are actually interested in these different things. And so I have to do my job, and knowing what our founders are interested in and what help they need is trying to get them connected to those things. But the thing I was going to say about Octavia and Sabina, we have to get all the people in that space connected locally so they can kind of support each other and learn from each other to kind of move forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's and even if you're not in that that particular circle of founders, but there's connections just like you just said to kind of help move that forward. And back on my when I worked for the government, I hired this PhD, which is a material science type person from Tuskegee, and so she might be willing to do some consulting, for these chemical formulations. I don't know if people realize that. So the place that I worked at, we also did chemical formulations for explosives. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, so there's all kind of material people out there
Yeah,
and know these process and they can apply to natural products for personal use. But we'll definitely work real hard to um, get that information out there as well. Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, but it's good to see people out there hungry for information and want to learn, and so your thing about being curious, I think that's a technique they can kind of use to keep digging deeper and to learn more.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And so like so I think it's like a lesson in networking. So you told what you're interested in, and so the people in the audience, I said to go ahead and ask questions, but so you're connected to other people that
Oh,
you see what I'm saying. So it doesn't matter that you're not may not be directly interested in the investing in the type of stuff they're doing, but you might know somebody that is, and that's what
yeah.
being curious is about, and getting to know people.
Yeah, that's why, yeah, you're right. Getting out there to events like this and just talking about your business, talking about your idea, meeting other people. Um, you never know who they know. And so I jump at any opportunity to talk about the things that I'm passionate about, because it could be anybody to introduce me to a great founder idea, or a great opportunity. So,
Yeah, and like for down here in Northwest Florida, USDA, the Department of Agriculture, they're definitely interested in funding stuff related to ingredients and stuff, natural products and stuff like that. And so they're I think we all have, when you network, people learn about what you're interested in, and then they can actually help you get connected from that. So yeah, from my standpoint, software, we're actually glad to connect. But I guess we skip part of the thing where I typically um, tell people, and this is still another networking thing. How do you and I meet or get connected?
yeah, no, I reached out to you because the team found your product, some exciting things that you were doing around AI, and
Hmm.
I just reached out on LinkedIn because I was curious about learning more about you. That goes back to that word again, curious.
They're very curious.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I was
yeah. Go
yeah
ahead.
very interested in what you were doing, and we had a chance to have a conversation, learned about the things that you've done in the government, the connections, and the things that you're doing around your technology, which is really interesting stuff. Um,
Yeah, yeah. That curious will will actually get you to um, discover some things that you may not realize they how the value of them, and so like this is a kind of a little side story, and then we'll close out. My daughter sent me a link to an article, and so this article, um, it was kind of strange. People were puzzled because they had a lot of X-rays of people of different race, and they developed some AI for it, but they didn't understand how the AI could tell which race that the X-rays were from.
wow.
So when you start being curious about that,
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying. So you think of X-ray, it's just taking a picture on what inside. So I'm curious, what, but based on my knowledge of AI, I can say, well, if
yeah,
it's picking up some of the pigment, even though you don't see skin, but if it's picking up some of the pigments in the pixels, then that's actually a pattern.
it's
That
phenomenal, right? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, you start to see that. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's different things, and so, but like your curiosity into my company, I can take you on a adventure that you will blow your mind when it comes to that AI stuff. So, but you might see something in there that you can apply to some of the stuff you're doing, and
Absolutely.
and that's what the curiosity thing. But most people, they don't dig a little deeper. They don't have that curiosity. So
Yeah.
why is that guy doing that? Why is he working 7 days a week? And why is he doing that? So that's how I found about the technology, and started investing money in it, and to kind of move forward. You have to just be a little curious, and you may find something, a sweet spot that really makes a difference in your whole life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well
So
said. Well said.
yeah. Yeah, I want to thank the audience for joining, everybody joining in, and thanks for the questions. And just definitely want to make sure, you know, all the new folks out there, you know, um, you know, go ahead and start working on your application for the pitch competition. And the bottom line is, the we'll help you learn how to communicate your idea to you know to like I said, the snack company. You never would have thought that the technology is what makes the difference in that business, but you have to, by getting involved, we'll help you learn, how you're going to leverage that technology to actually scale. But the thing I want to say about the pitch competition, go ahead and start your application. If you're not already in our Lean Stack training system, we'll get you signed up in that, and then you can actually start learning how to pitch your idea clearly and concisely, and so uh, Safu, like I think a lot of our founders have trouble with the idea that it's an idea, and what you got an idea what you want the finished product to be, but you're pitching what that future product, the end product is going to look like, and then you pitching it so you can get help to build it.
That's absolutely right. Yeah, you have the concept in mind. Maybe you have what's called a roadmap, which is just an outline of how where you see your product going. At the end of the day, and that's there you go.
Yeah,
It's very helpful to help people kind of see that vision and understand it. And if they can get behind that vision, they can. If they have the capital, they can certainly help you build it. Yeah.
yeah, and so the deal here is, so for this pitch competition, we're actually covering this green part So when we get your email, if you're not already connected, we'll send you a link to get the training, this business model design and this foundation training. And the result of that is that you should be able to pitch your idea clearly and concisely. And then you'll be able to submit. Well, you'll build a lean canvas, and then you can submit that with your application. But you have to describe your idea um, in 250 words clearly and concisely. And what happens is, and then later on this year, we're gonna run an accelerator for this phase right here. That's 3 months. But you don't, in this thing, you'll be building your MVP, but you don't want to build something that you haven't validated. That's not viable. So with this business model design training, so for we have a tool in there that actually allows you to. It's called it's the product roadmap type tool.
Okay.
It's a traction roadmap tool, but it uses 7 economic numbers.
Mhm.
And you can determine with those 7 numbers whether you have a viable business model or not.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so from an economics background, it's like a simple way to determine if your business model is a viable business model.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's the beauty of that. And so but that's kind of what this. So you can see when you back here from this idea, it's literally a long journey.
Yeah.
To kind of getting to the point where you're actually scaling, but you have to and you don't have to actually know any of these steps to get started. You just get started and you learn as you go. It's the journey.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
All right, you got any parting comments?
I just want to say, how honored I am to be here with you, and I appreciate the opportunity to address all of you and just to share my story, my background. Thank you all for listening. I hope it was helpful to some. And as we talked about, stay hungry. Stay passionate about what you're doing,
Yeah,
and stay curious. Keep
yeah,
learning about different opportunities.
yeah. I like that, and I think something else came out tonight too, is that still participate and be curious and make the connections, but you have to let people know what you're interested in or what your product or service is, so they can know if they're not interested in that particular thing, they're interested in helping you move forward. So just don't be bashful about what you're trying to do, and letting people know what you're trying to do, and then they may have people in their network that actually can help you.
Absolutely.
All righty, fantastic. So thanks everybody for coming. Get those pitch applications started, and let's learn how to build these startups and make these connections to be successful.
Awesome.
All right, thanks a lot.
Nice.
Bye bye, everyone.